All right, friends, we're back for your favorite podcast show of the week. This is Location Weekly. It's episode number 651. And this, as it's now January the 2nd, we're in the new year, 2024, and we are not doing our usual stories to cover, but instead doing our annual prediction show this week. So we each have kind of three predictions that we're going to talk about and a company that or companies that we think you should keep your eye on to watch. So yeah, so Happy New Year. How are you, Brianna?
Happy New Year. I'm good. I'm excited about 2024 and just, feeling refreshed in most ways after the holidays and just like being with family and
Yeah,
disconnecting for a while. So, very good. How are you doing?
I'm good. Yeah, it was nice to have a little break and back at the grind now with CES next week and then NRF the week after that, and so a lot of travel coming up. So it was good to have a little break and just kind of celebrate what was 2023.
Yes.
Yes.
Good.
All right. Well, let's kick it off. I know you've got some predictions for us. I'll let you start.
I do. Okay. So my first prediction, and I don't feel like this is too far-fetched from what anybody is thinking this year, but my prediction is that AI will surge. So I think that 2023 really laid the foundation for AI capabilities, and I expect that we see a lot of growth. So starting off in a lot of Chat GPT, all of the things that we heard that we talked about, the implications in 2023. And I think now we're going to see that really come to fruition with some bigger and newer use cases. And I also think that this is going to be shown in stocks. Like stocks are going to just surge. I think we're going to see a lot of those AI companies go up. So if you're invested, that might, if you're looking to invest, this might be an area to check out. Potentially even seeing some applications for AI within crypto. So that should be interesting to watch for. And I think some creative implications. So some for good and some for bad. So I think about on the good creative implications, I think we're going to see more AI for advertising, creative, predictive, creative, even perhaps like how do we show the right ad to the right people, or what's going to boost I would say like interaction with advertising the most based on what kind of ad it is. So predictive in that sense, as well as like saying what's the best creative to show for the type of advertising that it is. I think on the bad side of that for creative, we're going to see obviously a lot of false information, right? That can be summed up in a photo that is generated by AI, but looks very realistic. And so as those things start to, hit our social media threads, I think it's just something to be aware of and always asking and doubting a little bit. So that is my first prediction for 2024. Lots of AI.
Well, I can't argue with that one. I think that's
Mhm.
it's hard to deny you know, uh, what AI has done in a year, and the applications that are coming from it. So I'm fully on board with that. Okay, so on to I guess my first one. So I maybe this is like a little flash back to the past or something, but I feel like there's going to be a new surge of indoor navigation within retail. And I just like with kind of advances in the technologies around that, be it with Wi-Fi or ultra wideband technologies or visual computer vision based navigation or things like that. And I'm going to even say I think we're going to see a sort of a surge in Bluetooth beacons again coming back. So I think a lot of the retailers that we've been talking to in the last year, and companies like Target and so on are, going hard into positioning again and building this into their applications and being able to find things within a store or, have real-time inventory tied to navigation systems. So I think there's a lot going on in that space. And it's less on kind of the early days when this stuff was being put in at Walgreens and CVS and places like that, and it was being used to send you a deal as you're in the aisle, like a coupon. I don't think it's that. To me, it's more about navigation and information and inventory, and traffic data. So I think there's a lot going to go on there. And then related to that, I think, item tracking, whether it's using RFID or, other things to, basically find assets in buildings. We've talked a little bit about this year on the show, and in hospitals and nursing homes with, expensive equipment. But I think you'll see that at retail as well now, with trackers embedded in items on shelves. So to me, that's kind of an area that I see a lot of growth coming in 2024.
Yeah, I think we've seen a few stories like that so far, just closing out the year. So that definitely could, explode in 2024, and more adoption, maybe perhaps, like you said, for the retailers themselves versus for a marketing or advertising use case. All right, so my second trend or prediction that I'm looking at is, I think FAST is really going to take over. And what I mean by FAST is free ad-supported television. So we know that CTV has grown so much. We're seeing that now over 50% of viewing is happening on connected TV or OTT, so over the top, dongles and devices. And I think we're going to continue to see that. Now, the market has reached a lot of maturity. So, consumers like you and I, when we're looking at entertainment, the amount of streaming apps that we are willing to pay subscription fees for has pretty much maxed out, right? Like, we don't want any more. We might have our 4 different subscriptions, and that's kind of where we're happy. However, consolidation is starting to occur, and we're seeing some of these different streaming services bundle and offer, a different type of viewing situation. However, I think that people have been overspending. Now we're getting a little bit more conscious about our wallet. It's the beginning of the year, and we're like, hey, how many of these do I really need? And many of those streaming services that we are subscribing towards are even moving towards an ad-supported model themselves, because they have realized that they make much more money off of an advertising supported model versus a subscription model. So I think that, when you think about Freevee and Samsung TV Plus and all of these, there's a pretty big handful of these free ad supported television services. And I think that this is going to be the year that those really take hold. We're seeing some new original content hitting a few of those, and I think that this is just the beginning of that. So I'm excited to be a part of that industry, but also just kind of see how that's going to change our entertainment, for the future.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. I think for sure we're seeing the ads pushed into those mediums now. And I think that to your earlier comments about AI too, I think if they can sort of blend AI and predictive sort of analytics with the ads, and the ads can be sort of very smart or very targeted, let's call it, to the viewer. I think they'll see great success with that. So I like it. All right, second prediction for me is the rise of voice commerce. So I think alongside sort of all this growth around AI, we've also seen a lot of growth in natural language processing capabilities. So, I'm talking about things like Alexa and Siri and, Google Assistants and things like that. And so I think that, we're going to see more and more of these devices permeate in the homes. There's a study out that says they're projecting 77 million homes in the US will have some sort of smart home, voice assistant in their home by 2025. So within a year, roughly. So that's a big number. And I think that you're seeing these technologies be built into smoke detectors, thermostats, refrigerators, ovens, everything, is coming now with some sort of voice capability, and some with screens and some without screens. So I think there's a lot, that's happening there. And I think too, like, even if you look at it from a retail point of view, like Walmart's got voice ordering, technology now. You can ask your smart speaker to add products to your cart. You can, place the orders entirely by voice. We're also seeing this in vehicles, where you can, pay with your voice for certain things that you're buying. At gas stations and convenience stores and these kinds of things as well, or ordering your pizza, from Domino's. So I think there's a lot that's coming, down the road here in 2024, in terms of just using voice and the enhanced, natural language processing capabilities of being able to recognize what you want, and essentially these devices responding and either fulfilling the task for you, or helping you plan or order or do something that you want done simply by speaking. So I think for me that's sort of a trend to watch for 24.
That's a good one and interesting. I think there's some consumer behavior that also might need to be tweaked and grown and adopted as those new technologies come to fruition and advance. So my final prediction this year is around measurement, and specifically viewership measurement. So it's been an interesting, I would say year or two where we've had the traditional measurement players like the Nielsen's and the Comscores that have really kind of taken a hit from brands and marketers in terms of how effective is this. And also, as we've mentioned, like the way that people are consuming our entertainment has shifted a lot. So I do think we're going to see some drastic advances in measurement in a few key areas, and I will focus on TV measurement for this. But I don't think we're going to see a clear winner. So I think we're going to have some open measurement adoption, right? I think that's going to be one point that happens and is made some advancements where they've laid the foundation over the past couple of years, and now it's going to be put more in place. I think we're going to see some attention measurement happening. So how attentive are your consumers and viewers to your actual ad? And then I think we're going to see maybe some co-viewing measurement happen, and some rates that are changed and how things are priced accordingly. And then finally, the last area I think we'll see some measurement changes and adoption will be on outcome based, right? So and I think this could apply beyond just television measurement, but how do I ensure that I am driving brand lift sales? How do I ensure I'm driving foot traffic or app downloads or gameplay or subscriptions, right? So really focusing on a specific outcome and being priced or charged accordingly based on the outcomes that are driven by your advertising partner and platform of choice. So I think that's going to be a big one. I'm sure there's lots of AI that will be incorporated in those as well. But I expect just to have a lot of headlines around measurement this year.
Yeah, I agree with that too. I think you're bang on that one. And I think there's as these technologies evolve, right? And as you were talking about with the streaming television and ads coming in there, like you're going to need measurement, right? You're going to need ways to quantify and understand the effectiveness of these things. So I completely agree with you on that. All right, final one for me. I'm going to go into AR and VR a little bit, because I think that we've seen a lot of advancements this year in that space. In particular, when it comes to, retail, we've seen a bunch of retailers jump on board with virtual try-on technology. Sephora has been doing a lot in that space. IKEA, Target, everybody's kind of jumped into that. With IKEA, in particular, like they're even using on the Apple devices the LiDAR technology on the iPhone, so you can see measurements and display rooms and visualize design and things like that. So I think there's still a lot to be done in that, and I think many brands will jump on board with that as we move into 24 now. And I think the other thing too is kind of switching to the VR side of things is obviously later this year, we're expecting Apple to start shipping their headsets. And so I think you'll see sort of that head-to-head battle between Apple and Meta on the headset wars, and how retailers are going to adopt that remains to be seen. I think on the gaming side of things, you'll see consumers start to purchase devices and get involved in that. So I think there's a lot coming there. And even going back to what I was talking about earlier in terms of navigation technologies indoors in stores, you're going to see AR-based navigation as well, tied to some of those apps, where we're looking at inventory and helping people navigate their way through a store and things like that. So I think you'll see a combination of indoor navigation technologies that leverage AR, to achieve sort of better accuracy or better customer experience. So I think there's a lot coming down the pipe in that, and to me, it's going to be driven by these headsets that are coming to market later this year. So.
Yeah, I think we've seen some bigger players invest in some of these functions and features that they've rolled out, even like Snapchat, right? So I think that it'll be interesting to see how this new wave of devices really like empowers that and what the adoption looks like as well.
Right.
Okay, so for my company to watch this year, I am choosing NVIDIA. I mean, look, we've heard a lot about them. They're growing. If you don't know who they are, because maybe you are very fresh to this podcast or this area, but they're really creating chips, systems, software, and services for AI, right? So think that they are helping companies and empowering companies to create their own AI factories. They service the likes of Amazon and Microsoft and I believe Meta. So a real powerhouse. Apparently, if you were to have bought their stock like 10 years ago, for $1,000, it would be worth like over 300K now. So still looking, I think like the low projections are like 14% growth in their stocks this year, but I think we're just going to see a lot of massive adoption in new AI investments that we've been talking about. So I expect that more and more companies will start utilizing their services and products as they grow and start to really figure out what they're going to do with AI in 2024. So that's
that's a good one, and mine's not that far off. So
okay.
we're thinking the same. So for me, it's I'm actually picking a group of companies here on the chip side of things in Intel, AMD, and Qualcomm, because all of them have made announcements in the last couple of weeks as we move into 2024 that they're building the AI powered PC essentially, right? So they're building into their chipsets now, chips that are capable of onboard AI processing within the device, within the computer, within the phone. Google's already doing some of this as well. In the Pixel 8 Pro, it's running their Gemini Nano AI model in the device itself. So I think for me, it's about the processing and the AI capabilities that we see, but having those native built into the hardware and onboard on the processors. So I think any of those companies, whether it's NVIDIA, Intel, AMD, Qualcomm, these chip companies, I think are the ones to watch in 2024.
We're on the same page. Maybe you'll get
Right.
to check out some exciting things and see if all of
We'll
this
see what's at CES next week.
aligns with CES. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So we'll definitely go check some of that out. But anyhow, so that's our show for this week. Hopefully you agree with some of those predictions. And we're not too far off, but we appreciate everybody listening and watching. Thank you so much for your time over this past year. We're wishing everybody a fantastic 2024. And of course, we'll be back with our regular show next week with stories to watch and things like that. So have a great start to your year, everyone, and we'll see you soon. Take care. Bye.
Bye.